And welcome everyone to Gate to Wire. I'm Bruce Casella along with Dani Gibson, and we have a special guest this week. It's Thoroughbred owner John Fanelli. Hi, John.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're absolutely hot and bothered and sweaty, and it's miserable outside.
I'm going to
Go to
remind you of that in January.
Yeah, I know that. I'd rather have this in the cold weather, that's for sure. All right, let's get started with John. How'd you get into the Thoroughbred ownership? What made you want to do that?
Well, I grew up in the city, so I didn't know anything about horses. But my dad used to take me to the racetrack all the time, and I guess 2000 he passed in 2001, and I just decided, I was going to give it a try, and I claimed two $5,000 horses with Lou Linder, and they both coincidentally ran back on the same day. My memory serves me correctly. I won. I know I won the first one, and the second one I finished second or third, and the horse got claimed. So it was like a big day for me. I thought it was the easiest game in the world, and after that, it took me probably another year to win another race. So
Yeah, it's really hard. John, I love your silks. How did you come up with your colors?
well, my original colors were. I'm an Eagles fan, but I'm also a San Diego Chargers fan. So my original colors were baby blue, white, and yellow, like the Chargers. And they used to call me Hurricane was my nickname because I was in so many hurricanes. So it was Hurricane Racing. That was
Oh, yeah.
that lasted for like a year or two, maybe a couple of years. And then I wanted something more, I don't know, I guess bold. I always liked black, and the symbol fleur de lis, has a meaning to me. It's like you know it's a religious meaning. So I really wanted something like that, and I just wanted something to stand out as well.
Well, you run a lot of horses under your name, John Fanelli, but you're in a lot of partnerships, and I counted them up on Equibase. I'm sure there's more other hurricane racing, but how many do you think you have?
I'd say close to 50.
I counted 45, but
Yeah,
that's pretty
I
close.
figured as much. You know, it's it's good and bad, right? So, you when you have some good horses and you sell them, some partnerships change, people change. They don't want to be involved in the horse, or they want to sell their portion. And, one horse could have seven or eight partnerships. Um, New York Traffic, Math Wizard being two of them, probably the most popular, where, I sold both horses numerous times. So each time you sell the horse, you wind up with a new partnership, and,
Yeah.
it's four or five times sometimes.
Do you like doing it on your own, or is it more fun when you do it with your friends, with partners? Do you have a preference?
I enjoy doing it with people. And that's why I like to get people involved. I want to try to promote the sport. And to me, it's fun when you have, the more the merrier for me. When you have big partnerships, my favorite is LC Racing. He always brings a posse with him. And we've had so much fun over the years. And that's just been, that's important to me.
Glenn's
Um,
awesome.
but with that being said, I'm a little bit of a control freak, so I do like making a lot of decisions. So I like to have majority ownership in most horses or full ownership.
Yeah.
That can get kind of sticky, though. It depends on your owner that you have with you. You have to make sure you have the right partner.
Absolutely, and that's why so many dissolve. But to me, it's if you get the right people, it's so fun, and it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Math Wizard. You jumped up there and won the Pennsylvania Derby. Trainer was Saffy Joseph. First of all, what was that experience like? And second of all, how'd you find Saffy Joseph?
So, even till today, I always look for young up and coming trainers. Um, and I like to give people chances. So back then I was looking at two guys down at Gulfstream, and it was I believe it was Abreu and Safi. And neither were big time trainers, but they had good percentages. And I had interviews with both, and I tried to claim horses with both, and it just happened to work out that the couple that I went for with the other gentleman, I either got outshook or what have you, and then the one I did get was with Safi, and it was you know, it was great because, you know, I consider Safi family to me. So, you know, we were together a long time.
Yeah, he's
You know,
amazing. That was, I mean, you were 31-1, Math Wizard in the Pennsylvania Derby. That was a top class field, Mr. Money and Probable. Did you guys go in thinking you had a real shot, or was it more just like, let's take a swing?
when I enter a horse, I feel confident that the horse has a chance to win. And, you know, that particular race, um, you know, Math Wizard wasn't 100% right before entering, and Safi called me and he's like, you know, what are we going to do? And I'm like, you know what? Why don't we just enter? We'll look at the race. It'll cost us like $2,000. Um, you know, and if we think we have a chance and he's doing a little better, we'll go forward. So we decided to do that, and you know, coincidentally, Maximum Security scratched out of the field, and you know, we were trying to get Jose Ortiz or Irad Ortiz, and we happened to get Irad, which, you know, was a blessing as well. And you know, everything just all the cards just fell right. And but if you go back and look at Math Wizard, he ran in every single race, you know, every big race, and he was right there in a lot of them. So, you know, the Ohio Derby he should have won. We had a little rough trip. You know, he raced against all these horses prior. So the only horse I felt like that we would have a tough time would be Maximum Security.
Yeah.
Did I think it would shake out the way it did? No, it was just, you know, Keith Jones. I get chills just listening to his call, and you know, it's just an amazing feeling. And you know, still to this day when I talk about it, I get choked up.
Well, then you got another great feeling when a couple years later you jumped in with New York Traffic, took you all the way to the Kentucky Derby.
What's crazy is people don't realize, excuse me, people don't realize that the day of the Pennsylvania Derby, New York Traffic actually ran, I believe, his first or second race um, against Independence Hall and finished third.
Yeah.
And that day, you know, I knew I had something there as well. It was like I used to say, you know, I feel like lightning struck twice, you know, all in the same like year. So, you know, he started running really big. His next race he beat Monday Morning Quarterback, which was a heavy favorite that day. And you know, he ran a couple races in New York where he was, you know, we ran short. He was on the fence, couldn't get off the rail. You know, he developed a foot issue, so I sent him down to Florida because I wanted him to, you know, be in the good weather, train on a good track. And also with that, you know, Harry Weiner did a great job getting him to that point. But, you know, Safi had a little bit more experience with pointing horses to these bigger races and knowing how to get them, you know, get them to that point. And, you know, we then ran him in the allowance first time long, and he beat a really good field by like 7 or 8 lengths. And that's when we started, you know, selling more pieces of the horse. And, you know, it was just such a blessing.
I got to be at I was there at the Haskell with you when he almost beat Authentic. I was there with you, and I remember we like didn't know if he got it or not. That was crazy. Tell us about that day.
Oh, that was I watch that replay maybe 1,000 times. I still think we win.
Yeah.
I asked Paco, and he said, "I think we won. I think we won." And you know, Safi wasn't confident that we won, but you know, that could have been life changing. You know, and those, you know, you know, unfortunately in the stud game, it's tough because you know, you lose by a nose to one of the best horses, or probably the best horse that year. He went on to win the Derby, and his stud fee I think is 25,000, and we now have New York Traffic at stud, and he's 3,500.
Right.
And probably could have sold him for a big number if he won that race. Not to mention you win the purse as well.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm so proud of what he did.
Where is he now?
He's at Timber Ridge Farm in Pennsylvania. He's standing. We got in a little late because I bought my partners out. You know, they weren't interested in that part of it, so I bought him out. And by the time we really got him started, it was in late January. So we got about 12 covers. Nothing great, but good start. I bought some mares to help him out as well. But we have some traction for next year already. We have some contracts and hoping that, people see the value in him because, he's won it pretty much every distance. He's got speed. Um, he's got everything you're looking for. Longevity. He raced till he was 7.
Yeah.
He's raced against every horse. He's been in every dance. Unfortunately, we finished second so many times, and each time we had an excuse on why we finished second. It was just so frustrating. Louisiana Derby, Risen Star. I mean, if you go back and look at his races, I mean, you couldn't race in any more prestigious races than he did, and just every time was second, 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 second. So, but to make over $1 million with a horse that I paid 23,000 for was once again a blessing.
John,
Yeah,
what's your game plan when it comes to buying horses? What do you do? I mean, you're pretty much full time now with horse racing, which is good for us, and it's good to have a good owner like you. What is your game plan?
Well, thank you for that. But I don't know. I'm again going back to what I said earlier. I'm very hands on, and I like to make my own decisions. And if I need somebody to tell me, the physical part of the horse, do the ankles look good? Do the knees look good? I'm not very good at that. But looking at an athlete, I think I have a good eye for that.
yeah.
And that's just what I do. I go to the first. I read through the book for about 2 weeks. And I look at, first of all, I look for horses that I owned, mares that I had owned, just to see, if there's a good mare in there. Then I look at certain stallions that I think have value. Cross Traffic's always been one of my favorites. He's had a lot of runners, but he don't get a lot of respect. Even though he was, I think, value stallion of the year like twice. So I always look at horses like that, and I've owned quite a few of those. Then I just go through and, the hard thing is you don't know what these horses are going to go for. So I kind of make a list of about 40, 50 horses, but you get in the ring and, you're trying to spend, say, 50,000, 60,000, and they go for 200,000. You feel like you have the right idea, you pick the right horse, but, I'm not looking to spend them type of numbers. So now you weed through that and you try to get some value, and that's kind of what I do. I feel like I bought a couple fillies at the 2-year-old sale this year, and I like them both.
What about your family, man? You're really proud of your kids. Would you love it if your son got involved?
Yeah, I mean, if he liked it, he doesn't have much, he's just learning about it now. He's only 10, but, he's a big basketball guy. That's all he really wants to talk about is basketball, and I coach his teams, and, that's his passion right now. And I've always said to all 3 of my children, it's, you got to do something you love in life.
Yeah.
So that's all I care about. As long as you're happy doing it, everything else will follow.
We got to get him connected with Dick Girardi. That's the basketball man for sure.
Yeah, that's my man, Dick.
Yeah. Hey, go ahead, Dani. Go ahead.
No, what advice could you give a new owner maybe wanting to get in? Obviously owning a racehorse is expensive. Do you suggest getting in partnerships or claiming? Like any advice?
I would tell somebody to get into claiming partnership first, which I'm
Yeah.
coincidentally going to start, probably in the fall. I'm looking to do something like that. It's something where you're going to get a return quick. Where if you go to the 2-year-olds, I've had people that want to get involved, but they wanted to buy, 2-year-olds, and it didn't work out very well because it's a numbers game as well. If you don't, if you buy one horse in anything, it's going to be tough. I just feel like I always liken it to the stock market. You should diversify.
Yeah.
If you buy 5 or 6 horses, you got a chance to get a really good one. If you buy one, you could get a good one, but there's a good chance you're going to get a bad one, and it's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth, and you probably not want to move forward. So I want to bring more people to the sport, and I think that's the best way to start is some sort of partnership where you can get in for a little bit of money, still get the same feeling of being around the animals, and having the same excitement of winning. You know, if you own 10% of a horse and you win, it's still exciting.
Absolutely.
Yep. Besides parks, what racetrack's your favorite to go to?
Oh, I it's hard for me to narrow it down. I've always been a big Saratoga fan, but it's been raining so much up there. Gulfstream, you always get great weather. Unfortunately, the Tapeta has detracted from that a little bit. There's too many races on the Tapeta and very hard to handicap. And Del Mar's always been had a soft spot for that for a long time. Just so beautiful.
I'm a big Keeneland fan myself.
I love Keeneland. Just the weather's not, when I go, it's just, what's it, November?
Right.
Yeah.
It's not, I think don't they run another meet in April or whatever? It's
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a spring and a fall, and it's
Yeah,
October.
spring's a little better, but I look for good weather, I guess I want to leave the cold weather and go to the warm weather.
Anything else, Danny?
No, besides the two big horses we talked about, Math Wizard, New York Traffic, do you have a favorite, like Fix Me a Sandwich?
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
He's one of your favorite. I love that horse.
Yeah, my best friend. I have a lot of, my best friend was horse I named after my son. I used to say that to him, you're my best friend. So
I loved her.
and she was just one of the fastest horses I've ever owned. And
She was dynamite.
I actually have her 2-year-old coming up this year. Harry Weiner has her now. And Slingin' Sammy B.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a rough story about her. I really loved that horse too. I bred her a few times. Her baby's at the track now.
Well, John, it's always fun to see you at the racetrack. You seem like you have a great time. You have that group of guys that you hang out with, and I get a lot of laughs as I sit right down the.
Yeah, we should be charging admission for that.
Oh my God!
My wife thinks I'm crazy when she says, "Oh, you guys are crazy," but we have such a great time. I mean, to me, I just want to laugh and have a good time when I'm there, and it's the camaraderie, and that's what you're there for,
Yeah.
All right, John. Well, thanks for joining us on Gate to Wire. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys as always.
And we'll see you in the winner's circle.
I hope so.